All right. All right, I just got it going finally to for the Stop Coronavirus campaign live stream for the Earth session. So we're now going live on YouTube, which is good. All right, I just got it going finally to for the Stop Coronavirus campaign live stream.
Hey, Alvina, do you want to check in?
I'll be not that.
Yes, we'll ask
Maybe
her.
she's probably reconnected.
Yeah. Okay, so as Alvina reconnecting, let's move. What is our desired outcomes for this session? Any desired outcome? Okay.
Desired outcome and topics are different, right? Okay. I have a topic, but not a desired outcome.
Here's your topic.
My topic is about discussing the responsibilities and priorities for Stop Coronavirus campaign.
Okay, your desired outcome is to discuss the priorities
and
responsibilities
for the Stop Coronavirus campaign, because I am not familiar with their responsibilities and
for Stop Coronavirus.
priorities.
So for me, there's a whole part of the process that is, whether or not we're even doing the campaign and what the purpose and goals of the campaign are. So until we have agreement, understand what we are doing, it's going to be very difficult to even have responsibilities. Because if we decide to not do the campaign, then there's no responsibility. So the primary responsibility at this point is just the prioritization, including the prioritization spreadsheet and our options that we could actually vote on to see how we want to move forward. Check.
Hello. Another topic? Other topic? Any desired outcome? Any desired outcomes? Simitope?
What about from my end, I would still say, just like Jay said, we have to look at the priorities once more, see if they are still relevant to what we have, the true life situations that we're experiencing now. And from there, we can now see how we can kickstart the campaign, because personally, I feel the campaign actually had not moved. So, and situations have changed compared to where we were the last time we had a similar meeting. Yeah, so I feel that we should look at the priorities once again, and from there we see if we want to continue just like they said, and how, if we want to continue, how would we intend to continue, what do we intend to do, so that everybody starts on a new slate and we know how to proceed from there.
Okay. So any topics? Or is that all?
Maybe you can implement a plan. Implement a plan and
Okay, maybe we can have a plan.
to organize all the corona campaign. Already the communities and everything. So maybe we can make a plan to help us move forward.
So do we have our do we have our taxes? I mean, do we have our topics and agenda ready?
Any other topic?
Okay, implement for the topics plan to make a plan and implement it.
So I'm not sure exactly how we're supposed to make a plan if we don't have priorities and goals. Plus, usually a plan takes a lot of time. Like I probably spent 20 hours or more on the plan that I wrote from before. So I'm not sure if we're gonna actually have a final plan at the end of this meeting. But I do think we want to talk about priorities and goals and make sure everyone gets a chance to speak about what we should do and like jump into it. Sounds like a good idea. But you know, I'm down to talk about responsibilities and planning, but it's like I think that's the next step after we get through our goals and purpose.
Okay. So any topics? Any more topics? Any more topics?
They mentioned about the goals and the purpose. Can we talk about the goals and purpose of the coronavirus campaign?
I will.
So yeah, I would propose that we discuss the goals, purpose, and priorities, and that really should be our focus. As like, and then our next steps could be planning, responsibilities, and the actual work.
Looking at the global window for the September.
Were there any or original goal for the team?
Yeah, just link the. They don't we have the main doc at the top? No one linked the main doc, so nobody linked the main doc at the top. So maybe someone should link the coronavirus campaign main doc so that Gino can look at it.
I will.
So again, is there anyone who's objecting to the idea of focusing on priorities and goals and our purpose? So I mean, I don't know. I just think that we should just focus on that, and then once if we get through that, then we can go on to all the other things like the planning, responsibilities, the work, not everything else. So, but if we just sit here and talk about work and responsibilities with no purpose and no goals and no priorities, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere. So, does that make sense or not?
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna update the topics since nobody else is, so I'm just gonna do that myself.
Okay, so
You can help in this topic.
So you guys want to talk about the plan and priorities?
yes. Jay, regarding the broadcast, it's not on the website.
What?
I can see it
What?
on the website. But I will refresh and it's here now. You're live. I can see it now.
Is anyone checking the Zoom room?
The Zoom.
Is anyone on the Zoom?
I was there. No one was there. I recently just closed it, but I am here again. There's no other participants besides me.
So you're on there now and you're the only one there.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Plan and priorities maybe.
So I really do think we should go ahead and get started. Like, Pressy, if you're not gonna move us forward, like, maybe someone else should facilitate. But it's just, I think it's great to want to do the plan and priorities. But if we just don't have any purpose or goal at all, then we need to just get into that. I don't know how long it's gonna take, So, and then also we need to agree on something. Or we need to agree on not doing the campaign or figure something out,
Okay. So, any more topics? Any topics?
So I'm gonna add in the topics here that we need to get agreement on proposal to end or continue campaign. That should help us.
Any objections to our topics?
None on my side.
None here.
Okay. So let's see what we done. The first topic is our goals, purpose, priorities.
So again, who's facilitating?
I'm helping.
Okay. So our first topic is round of
Wait,
goals.
actually, let me let me add one more topic that if we do get through this, we need a clear campaign manager. Like, we shouldn't be in a situation where it's just we're all sitting around, nothing's happening. Like who was hired to manage the campaign? Like, what's going on? Do we have a campaign manager? Okay, yeah. So that's a huge problem that they're not stepping up to do it. And also, what about Mamoon not being able to get into the Hangout? What's going on with that? Like, why is that a problem?
He's using his phone, but like I already invited him using the invite from the Hangouts, but I think he's not getting it.
So he just doesn't have his computer. That's the problem.
Yes, he's using his phone.
All right. Could he try the voice over IP? Maybe someone could log into the voice over IP and try that. All right, let's get into our first topic. So the goal of the round is that everybody gets a chance to speak. We go around the entire room so that everyone gets to talk.
Our first topic is a round of goals, purpose, and priorities. So I will link the main doc, the coronavirus main doc here. Alvina, do you have the priorities and responsibilities of the campaign? Spreadsheet?
All right, why don't we start, since nothing's happening here, why don't we start with the old priorities and the purpose, right? So the old purpose and priorities was to save lives and, basically, implement the suppression and eradication method. But unfortunately, many places, including U.S. and other countries, were not particularly interested. But overall, globally, it is known to work, but everyone just kind of doing their own thing. So there's no global open network to join that we can find, at least. So I don't know if that helps, but that kind of gives a perspective of where we were before, like with our planning and our purpose and what we were doing. So
We have the coronavirus campaign prioritization spreadsheet. This is the old one that we are using.
What do you mean that you're using? What do you mean that you're using?
This is the old one that we did before.
I know, but what's the point of it? What are you using it for?
Because I guess we have to do another one, the new one.
No, I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand.
Do we move the old one, Tracy? I don't think we need the old one. We just need to set the new goals and details on the priorities.
So I mean, all what we need here is we need clear options of what we want to do. So clear options of what we want to do. Option 1 obviously is to end the campaign and work with other organizations, right? So option number 2 is have a clear goal and purpose that is different from other existing organizations, right? So basically, if we can't clearly define what we're doing, then somebody who wants to go work on something that already exists, they could just go to another organization that already exists and they can do it there, right? So it's just like we need to have a clear purpose. Does that make sense? And someone needs to be able to talk about it. Like going to a spreadsheet and voting is not going to help us at this point in time.
Yeah, makes sense.
It makes sense. I think the end the campaign and work with other organizations will do.
We can vote for option 1 as well. Just like
I have a question.
what they are doing, then maybe we can.
Okay, guys. So who is facilitating again?
And Agina.
Okay, so this should be really simple. The facilitator should stop talking and you should make a list of the people on the call, and then each person gets a chance to speak on the topic, which is the goals, purpose, and priorities. You just go through the room and everyone gets to speak. It shouldn't be complicated. Come
on. Any question with the option?
No, that was that was not what you wanted. You wanted to go and do a round. It's not questions. It's a round where each person gets to speak and you just say their name. If you guys can't do this, then you can have someone else facilitate like me, but this shouldn't be complicated. Just go around, let everybody talk and speak about what they feel the purpose, goals, and priorities should be.
For me, I've actually gone over the top coronavirus global responsibility organizing doc, and I see the original primary goal and secondary goal. And the primary goal was to create awareness and inform people about how to stop the coronavirus spread. I think it would actually be best if we choose option 1 for this, because there's already a lot of organizations doing this sort of campaign of to stop the disease, to stop the spread via social media or via YouTube, or via their videos saying spreading the awareness of the what do you call this, the results if you don't follow safety guidelines for the coronavirus or something like that, if that made sense.
I'll go next. Okay, we started the campaign months ago after the breakout of the coronavirus, and really want to be moving forward. So my opinion is we look at what the organizations, what they are doing, the implementation they have put forward, the goals and moving forward of the supporting and ending the coronavirus, so that maybe what we didn't achieve, we learn from them, and we see where we went wrong, and if we can move forward also by getting ideas from other people.
Well,
Okay, I'll go next. I guess option one is the best option because we can we can work with other organizations because we can't work anything we can do anything on our own since we have started it for a long time and we don't have any progress on it. So I guess to work with other organizations and work with their goals is the best for now.
Personally, for me, I feel that we should access the. We have had some goals that we had initially. We had the spreadsheet prioritization spreadsheet. We had some things there. I would have loved if we look at those priorities and see if they are still relevant with what is happening worldwide. If not, then we look at new priorities that we can work with. Then we look for organizations that are doing the same, that have the same goals and the same priorities, and see how we can work together. If we don't have our own goals and priorities clearly spelled out, then it will be difficult for us when we collaborate or join up with other organizations to actually be able to make impact. Why? Because we'll just be running with their own vision and running with their own priorities, and we will not really have, in quotes, that uniqueness or that impact that we really would have loved to have. So I would want us to look at those priorities that we have. Are they still obtainable? Are they still what is still in vogue? Can we use them? If not, what other priorities can we come up with that will allow us? Yes, we know we cannot run this campaign all by ourselves. We need collaboration. We need support. We need people to work with. So what should our goals and priorities be in working with other people? Check.
So I'm a little confused in terms of like, the working with other organizations part, but like, it's like if we end the campaign, we're not really working with other organizations in the context of the campaign, right? So it's more like ending the campaign and individuals can go their own way and work with organizations doing similar activities, right? So if we have a clear goal and clear purpose, like Temitope is saying, we can work with other organizations with similar goals and ideas. So like, for me, that, if we as an organization want to work with other organizations, it would be extremely important, like Temitope is saying, is to have clear goals. Otherwise, it's very difficult to even communicate. In the context of what's available, I mean, we have the prioritization spreadsheet, the old one, you can look at it. And now is the time to propose any sort of options we want. Like, I mean, I love the concept of the suppression model and eradicating the virus. Europe has pretty much done it. A lot of places in Asia have done it. New Zealand has done it. So it's obviously scientifically a viable model. A lot of countries have successfully, suppressed the virus and almost eradicated it and are working towards that. And it's just, my problem is that there just doesn't seem to be two things. One, other people to convince on how to do that. Where it's been successful, it's mainly happened with government intervention. So to get normal everyday people to get behind the suppression model has been pretty much impossible in my experience. I just haven't been able to convince anybody to do anything. And then the second part is that it's just a huge amount of work, and if we don't have the capacity to do the work, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, ideally we could find another organization doing it and just fund them, but yeah, I just don't know. Check. It looks like Mamoon got here.
Yeah. I would like to check in. Hello.
Pressy, Alina?
Yes, hello. Mamun, can you check in?
Yeah. Do you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can.
Oh. Okay, I'm at 3.5, actually out of home using my cell phone. And yes, last time the coronavirus thing was totally a mess. I just wanted to see what it be the priority would be for this campaign again. So how would we go with the suppression plan? I just needed to see and discuss with the campaign with the team. Check.
So, Mamoon, we are currently talking about the possible goals, priorities, and purpose of the campaign continuing, or whether we want to end the campaign. And so, if you have any ideas on what the campaign could do or what its purpose would be, it'd be really helpful.
Yeah, I have few questions, and yes, I understand why you asking for stopping it. But last time it was a myth because of actually we collected few sites that can help us collaborate with them, but actually we didn't verify those websites and list, and that was the problem. And yes, I have a plan. The plan is to we have to make a clear responsibility with the steps, so we can the whole team can do it with each responsibilities. We can take each responsibilities. We can divide by 2 or 3 groups, so we can work on it and make the responsibility organizing for each responsibility. And just need to get the steps. And I have few ideas for doing the work. The idea would be, first we have to contact with the people, or first the people we collected for the websites we collected. So we just need to collaborate with them, or communicate with them how we are going to march with them. So this is the first step, and then we can proceed further, and we can go from there. And my question is there any companies, or you have any companies that will help us to collaborate with them, or you need to go with the companies we selected last time? We need to verify. At least you can, if you can just take a look, and then you understand.
That was a question from Mamun. The answer to Mamun's question.
What's the question?
Mamun, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is, would you like to go with the websites and companies we selected last time? because those company was not verified, or we didn't actually communicate with them. So would you like to verify those companies that we can march with them? Or one more question is, do you have any companies, or do you have any organization known that we can march with them?
So is this a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, basically, I'll kind of repeat myself here, where if we don't know what we're doing, there's not really any reason to contact any companies or organizations and talk to them. It's just that's just work that we would be doing for no purpose, right? So we need a clear purpose and directive for our campaign. So let me give you guys an example of something I thought about based on everything that Mamoon was talking about. So Mamoon was talking about all the different organizations, and there are obviously many groups, individuals and organizations involved across the world working on coronavirus, and different campaigns and different variations of how it would all function. And everything from living with coronavirus forever to, creating vaccines, to the personal health and wellness of individuals and personal hygiene and safety, as well as suppression models and new societal laws and frameworks for how to deal with the new coronavirus economy. So there's so many different aspects of coronavirus, and there's organizations working on all of it. They're just all disconnected and fragmented, and also very, very a lot of these organizations are. Is anyone even taking notes? Is anyone taking notes? Is anyone taking notes?
Yes, I did, but I'm not.
You did take notes? Where?
On the bottom after mommy's name.
It just says we need a clear purpose.
Sorry, I'm not.
So you were taking notes, or I'm so confused.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so there was no notes being taken, or there was notes? So I need to know if there was notes, so I can know whether I need to repeat myself or if I don't need to repeat myself. What was it? Say it again.
There was no note, so you can repeat yourself.
Okay, there were no notes. Thank you for finally clarifying that. So yeah, we gotta do better on that. We have like what, 5 or 6 people here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. All right. So just to rehash what I was saying, it was basically, there's lots of organizations, they're fragmented, they're working on a lot of different types of activities. But most importantly, they're just not accessible. Like there's no place you can go to and find organizations that as an individual I can get involved in. Almost everything going on with the coronavirus is government run, and it's all closed, where basically unless you're an elected government leader who's heading some sort of task force, that you don't have any access to it, in my experiences. So maybe in other places it's more accessible, but I have not found it. If anyone has links or information about accessible organizations that we can join or work with as individuals, it would be really cool, especially in relationship to the suppression method. Anyways, so the idea would be, what if we tried to help host a online coronavirus space? Obviously there's lots of other spaces, but we could do, whether it's the Venus session or a Mercury session, where it's basically building a whole online portal for coronavirus collaboration and communication, where we can have everything from speakers to open spaces, etc., etc. So basically doing what we already do, except for doing it, a little more focused on coronavirus, similar to how we're doing with the water group. So in that context, it's not really a campaign. It would just be what we're already doing with our session support, right? So we could do a session support, but work on finding and building, connections to organizations and groups that want to discuss and work on coronavirus. So in my perspective, if we did decide to do that and create open space where anyone across the world can come together to collaborate on, anything related to coronavirus, it's just not this. It's just doing our session support. And we would focus on session support as opposed to coronavirus campaign. But we could be supporting the coronavirus campaign by doing that and contacting all of the organizations to invite them to the next open sessions. So that's just an example of because that would give us a clear purpose. The purpose would be building a coronavirus hub of information and collaboration. And we could do that through our already existing model of open sessions in planetary sessions. So anyways, that's one example. But again, that would still be option one for me. We would just move all of this into a coronavirus hub of the open session, of the existing open sessions. Check.
Okay. So what would be the responsibility? I mean, make it a bit specific.
You mean responsibility for session support?
Yeah, you were you're saying that that would be the session support and making contact with the people. So as an example, so what would be our responsibility for starting the campaign?
Again, it wouldn't be a campaign. It would be just our already existing session support. So for example, we have the Open Earth Sessions, Summit. And the Earth Session Summit is open space that we invite anyone across the world to come to work on any project. In this case, we would invite people to come to work on coronavirus and stopping coronavirus or whatever. So in that context, it's like exactly what we're already doing, except in relationship to building a huge contact list of all the emails and all the Facebook groups and all that for coronavirus. And we could choose other topics too. And then you're going and you're inviting them and asking them to get involved in future open sessions and summits so that everyone can connect together and start collaborating and working together. So the responsibilities is just, the basic session support, building the email list, sending the invitations out, posting on Facebook the invitations, and then coordinating the hosts, coordinating the schedule and the website, and then broadcasting it. It's basically exactly what we already do, except doing it for coronavirus as well. Does that make sense? It's just...
Yeah, makes sense. So usually we're gonna do session support with different method of taking different method of campaign. I mean, you talk about this the collecting emails and sending them emails. It's look like session support. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we are the worst at in relationship to our session support is all of the invitations to a session. So in order to invite everybody, we need to know who to invite. In this case, if we're going to invite all the coronavirus organizations and individuals across the world, we would need to do the work to have all the emails that we can get, as well as all the contact or places we would want to post. And then we would need to regularly post there and regularly contact them and send out reminders. And we're not even doing reminders for the Earth session. I mean, we need to be sending out reminders on the Earth session email list, as well as our own group, so that people are getting reminders. Like it's still a problem, but again, it's just all this work that we already know we're supposed to be doing, but we're just not doing it, which is another reason why the Stop Coronavirus campaign concerns me, because if we already can't do all of our other work, how are we supposed to do this at the same time on top of everything else that we're not doing? Check.
Yeah. Okay, so are we going to have a specific responsibility organizing for the process?
Who are you asking that to?
Yeah, I'm asking you, are we going to have a specific responsibility organizing for the process?
For what process? Like, we don't have to do anything. I mean, I'm just giving ideas here. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I want to do what I'm going to do is we need a clear responsibility and responsibility organizing for that with the steps, so we can see, a team can see and work with that.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, I 100% agree. Whatever we want to do, I 100% agree that there needs to be clear, organized responsibilities with steps so that anyone can do the work and we are able to train anyone else to do the work. I feel like I probably did 90%, maybe 95% of everything for the Earth Sessions Summit that we're currently in. But it's all super easy work and anyone could do it. Like, there's nothing that I did was particularly special in any way, which is part of why I was able to do 90% of the work, is because it really wasn't that hard, right? So anyone could step up to learn these responsibilities. What was I not able to do? I was not able to do any outreach or any recruitment whatsoever, right? I was able to do everything else, right? But I can't do that. I can't do the entire website and all the coordination of everything and the building responsibilities, not to mention all the other responsibilities on top of that I already have, plus do all the Facebook outreaching and all the email group lists and everything else. But I did as much as I can, so that's where we need the most help, is in like, if we really wanted to do fully functional global sessions, it would take a much larger recruitment and outreach team, and we can also do more, hire more people for that, right? But the bottom line is that posting on Facebook is not difficult or complicated at all. And getting an email list together, it's super simple, right? It's just work that needs to get done, and we need to put it into simple, clear responsibilities and steps so that people can do it. And then we need to actually do either the training or work sessions or VA work, whatever, so that people are coordinating the efforts and prioritizing so that it makes sense, right? Like, I know Temetopia was doing some posting, but I'm not sure if it actually was useful in terms of, it's like, it might have just been a random post. I mean, I have no idea. So, if we had a coordinated model, it would all be organized and have very specific, clear goals and outcomes in terms of who are contacting why and when and how often, and verifying it, right? So that we can replicate it. And we can train anyone else to do it as well. So does that kind of answer your question, Mamoon?
Yeah, and one more question. Let's say if I want to go, I want to set a session with you for a responsibility, and we need to, first we have to plan the responsibility, then we need to go for the responsibility organizing. For the first step, if I need to set a session with somebody in the team or you, so what would be the responsibility I need to focus on?
Are you asking me again on this?
I guess you are the one answer it very smoothly. So
Yeah, but I mean, if anyone else can answer, it's perfectly fine. I mean, it seems like is your question just is your question just like, are we going to do like, can we schedule to do work sessions on that, or other sessions? Is that all you're asking, or?
what would be the first step if I need to set a work session and working with the campaign or the process we need to go through? So, what would be our focus in the first session? The plan or the responsibility itself directly?
In the example I gave, where we end the campaign, it would be on the responsibilities, right? There are specific responsibilities that the work needs to get done, and just in focusing on the responsibility organizing for sure. So I think we're on the same page on that. But again, it's not focused on anything related to coronavirus. It's just inviting coronavirus organizations into a space where they can collaborate and work together, and maybe in that space we could find people to work with and then collaborate on building a campaign together and funding it. So I mean, I feel like yeah, anyways, it's just one option. I'm just trying to give an example of something that we could actually do that has a specific goal. If someone could have a clear goal and outcome within a campaign itself, I'm open to that too. But the key is that it just needs to be clear, right? Just doing responsibilities and working is not a clear goal. We actually have to have a purpose. Like, what is the objective and the outcome, right?
Okay, Jay, for my side, if I write a plan and submit it to the Skype, and then the team will take a look, and if the team give us the green signal, then we go for the work. Is it possible that is it the thing all the team can agree? If the team can agree, then we can proceed.
Again,
Plan, yeah. I'm talking about a plan.
Again, you need a clear goal or a clear purpose in order to plan. You can't create a plan based on nothing. You have to have some idea of what you're trying to plan. Otherwise, there is no plan, right? So to go spend hours and hours and hours and spending all that money and time on planning something that doesn't even exist doesn't make sense. So it's like, you need to tell the team now what your plan is and what you want to focus on, and then we decide whether we want to agree. So right now our options are either 1, to end the campaign, or 2, to figure out some other purpose or goal.
The goal is to invite people and let them know this plan, and we need to spread the session plan as many as people we can. So that would be the goal.
Did anyone understand that?
Excuse me, Jay, we are on the top of an hour. We can have our 5 minutes break.
We need to reach people with the suppression plan as many as we can. As many people we can.
Hello, Mama.
Yeah.
We have not actually gotten a plan yet. So because of that, we need to agree on a plan. Then we look at how do we actualize this plan. Jay has actually suggested something for us. If we have other suggestions, we can make it. And if we don't have, let us look at what Jay suggested and see how we can run with it. If it's not going to work, we can put off the campaign. So if we have ideas, personally, I was thinking, my own thinking before was collaborating with other people. What Jay suggested looks much more better and it suits us better. It suits the kind of job we do and what we believe in and what we are used to. Personally, for me, that's what I think. So if we want to, we have a plan, we look at it, is it feasible? If it is not, okay, if the plan is feasible, is it agreed upon? If it's agreed upon, then we now start talking about responsibility, organizing, prioritizing, and the rest.
Yeah, Jay is talking about the goals. So I'm saying the goals. The goal is would be the suppression plan. We can reach with our suppression plan as many people as we can. That would be the goal. And if you have any goals that is you can suggest or propose. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a viable purpose, right? So that makes sense if we were all on the same page and we all agree that that's what we wanted to do. The only problem with that particular option is that that's what we did before and it didn't really work and we weren't able to convince anybody to work on it. So, and we had no real backup and we don't really have anything else that's different than any other organization. So, but anyways, let's take a 5-minute break. I think unless there's let's make sure anyone else who has options on for goals gets a chance to speak. But then I can clearly explain and show, an example of what, a coronavirus portal might look like in terms of organizing and collaborating with people around the world on coronavirus. Anyways, let's take a break and then we can, if ever during the break, you can think about any other possible goals. And again, what Mamoon just said is a viable, specific, and clear purpose, right? Which is to focus on the suppression model. It's basically what we had before. But that is an example of a clear goal. Okay, so Pressy, we're doing a 5-minute break now, or what?
yeah,
Okay, we can do the 5 minutes break. We will come back after the 5 minutes break.
okay.
We are on the top of an hour.
1:15.
কেমন আছেন? বসে একটু প্রয়োজন, একটু কাজ করতেছি। আমি আইছি ঘন্টাখানেক আগে। ধরো
তুমি তো আর কি ভাই রে,
ধরো
সবসময় আমার সাথে খালি ইয়ার্কি মারো।
তোমার সাথে আমি একটি মারি পারি
কি করো? মানুষটার আগে কারো হইলো অন্য নাম, কারো হইলো রাস্তাতে করবো মনের দুঃখ কথাটুকু। হ্যাঁ তা তো করবো নাকি জামাইয়ের সাথে গল্প।
সেদিনও আমাকে মারলাম 1 কেজি 1 কেজি আমার তো শখ বোঝো নাই মাছ ধরার, তো নিজের জায়গাতে এখন করে নিছি। বৃষ্টি হলে পানি গড়লে আসতে হবে আমার এখানে মাছ।
বাইরে মাছ দিতে না
বুঝো না, আমার একটুখানি জায়গা থেকে 1 কেজি শোল এবং 8টা শোল খাইছি। Is anyone back?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm back as well.
So it seems the primary problem is we lost our facilitators. So Pressy and Albina are gone.
Hello, I'm here.
I will be back. I will just send emails for the participants.
Okay, but you guys need to not like. Okay, hold on a second. This is really important. When we are live on a session and you give a task, right? You don't just stop being facilitator. You don't stop the session in order to immediately do a task that you can do at any time. It doesn't need to be right now. You could do it later. You know what I mean? So everyone, your first and foremost priority is the session and communicating as a team.
Yes.
So if someone wants to stop being facilitator, you have to tell the team and tell everybody, okay, I'm no longer able to facilitate. Someone else needs to take over because we're basically all sitting here waiting for the facilitators.
Okay, let's move to the next topic.
No, we're not moving to the next topic. We haven't finished this topic.
Okay, fine. Let's continue from where we left.
Okay.
Okay.
So there are 4 options that I see so far. And I want to spend a little more time on option number 2. So option number 1 is ending the campaign and basically stopping and doing nothing. Everyone can go to other organizations. Option number 2 is to end the campaign and then co-create a coronavirus portal that can unite all the organizations and people around the world who want to work together to address the current coronavirus crisis, both globally and locally in their regions and countries. Number 3 is to continue the campaign but find a new purpose and goals that are clear and differentiated from the existing organization. The problem with number 3 is that we don't know what the purpose is because we don't actually have a purpose. And then number 4 is to continue the campaign and to go back to our original goal of trying to get people to support the suppression eradication method. The problem with that is that it didn't work. We weren't able to convince people to work on the suppression method, and that the only people currently working on it are basically governments and institutions that are closed and not really accessible to people. So those are the 4 options that I see it. I don't know if there's any questions about anything, but I wanted to go over option number 2 to give a little bit more clarity of what that might mean and show you guys the example. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay. So are there any other questions about any of the other options? No other questions?
No questions.
All right. So basically for the option number 2 would be to end the campaign and to focus on co-creating a coronavirus portal that would unite all the organizations and people around the world. So basically we would just focus on session support. It's all session support. It's just how do we build and support sessions that have to do with the coronavirus. But we could still have coronavirus sessions, but instead of being focused on us doing them, we would just be focusing on creating the framework that we would invite other people to host coronavirus sessions. So let me show you the example, which is the water portal. So right now we have the Earth Sessions portal, and then we have the water portal. The Earth Sessions portal is basically for the community and unity and anybody who wants to do anything, right? The water portal is specifically for the water group. So if you go to our website currently for the Earth Sessions, you'll see that we have a planning group for the water sovereignty, right? This is a group of people who are very passionate about water and taking care of our planet's water needs. And then there's a follow-up session on Sunday, on July 5th, for the next steps of organizing for the planning group for the water sovereignty. And that is literally the tip of the iceberg. There's hundreds of water projects and there's water groups all over the world, and they're all working on many, many different things. So they wanted to have a separate portal that was just for water. So this is basically the Water Unity Networks and Summits, and it's a portal where we can link any and all activities going on across the world related to water. So what does that mean? It basically means that people, any organization or group can register, right? They can join the email list in the Google group, right? They can host a session, right? And then once they host a session, it goes on the schedule. So for now, that's kind of weird. It looks like the actual calendar got a little bit messed up. I don't know what happened to the calendar. Anyways, we'll have to try to fix that. Let me try to just refresh. What are the chances? Oh, it just says something about permissions. So looks like the calendar needs to have permissions updated. So anyways, the calendar would show all of the events only focused on water, right? Which at this time, it did have the 2 water sessions that we had here. So the calendar, instead of showing all 12 sessions of the Earth session, it only showed the water sessions, right? And then from there, you could add more water sessions as time goes on. It has the email groups of how to get on the email groups. You have all your, Skype groups, your Zoom, your conference call links that people could work together. And then you've got your initiatives like the Water's Original Blueprint. And then you could list all your partners and have links to all the other organizations that are working together and want to do all the water work. So the idea is that you're basically building a portal for all the water projects similar to the Earth sessions and the Unity Network and all the work that we're doing of uniting everybody for whatever purpose or goal, but do it focused on a specific topic, in this case water, but the idea would be to create one for coronavirus crisis, like solving the coronavirus crisis. That's pretty much it. So hopefully that kind of makes sense in terms of an example of how you could and there would be an immense amount of work. There would be many, many responsibilities from like the website, the outreach, the coordination, the recruitment. All of it would still be applicable. We just wouldn't have any other purpose except to connect all these other existing organizations and people together who may want to collaborate. Check.
So what would be the clear goal for the water session?
Everything I explained had nothing to do with the water session. So again, what I'm saying is that you would take the same website, instead of saying water, you would say coronavirus. You'd say coronavirus networking and summits. So we would want to build summits around coronavirus, and we just create a new website with the portal specifically for coronavirus, and any organization, any group could schedule and work with the coronavirus. Is basically, again, the same thing as the Open Earth Session Summit, except instead of the Open Earth Session Summit, it would be the Coronavirus Session Summit. And we would build an entire schedule and database of organizations and groups focused on coronavirus, and all the meetings and activities and sessions that you could go to learn and work together on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So anyone please write down the notes of the priorities so we can take a look. Currently I cannot take a look at the notes, so I will take a look of the priorities we need to do.
Okay, can we vote on option, please?
Yeah, I think that's actually the next topic too, the agreement on the proposals. So Albina, do you want to go around and have everyone vote?
Yes, we have 4 options. So can we vote on our options, please? Amount, Matope.
Option 2. I will go
Option
for
2 for me.
Amount.
Option 2.
Option 2.
Okay.
I think I would lean a little bit more towards option 1, so I'd give option 1 like a 7.5 and option 2 like a 7. So I'm yes on either one of them, but my main concern with option number 2 is it's still a huge amount of work to do that, and then what question is whether or not we would be able to do it. But if there's interest and there's actually passion and people actually put in the work to do it, then I think it would happen. But if people don't put in the work, it's just not going to happen, and then we just have to cancel anyways. So yeah, check.
Guys, can we put our numbers, please? What would you number? The option 2, you said which? Option 1, 7.5.
Yeah, that's correct. 7.
Okay, thank you.
7.5.
So we can just pick our numbers so that we get the average. Which number are you voting for? Option 2. Just give a number. Number?
Yeah, option 2, 7.
Okay.
Okay, I will do the average.
Okay, do the average. We have. We have 6.9. 1. Okay, anything on the topic? I guess option 2 says. Can we move to the next topic?
Yeah.
Before we move to next topic, Jay was about to ask the goals. Have idea? You can just share.
Does anyone understand, Mamoon?
No.
Yeah, the goal you were asking about just before the break. So, if you don't have any idea with the goals, can share.
So what we just voted on, and again, we voted on prioritizing option number 2, but we actually would need to vote on the actual proposal, but I'm assuming that is the proposal. But again, we prioritized 2, but we didn't actually approve 2. I'm not really sure. So usually you would see if there's any questions, concerns, or objections. We skip that part.
Okay. Any question with the option?
None on my side.
Any objection?
No objection.
Any concerns?
No, none from my end.
Okay, we have consensus.
Oh, okay, cool. So it looks like we have consensus on at least doing this for now. The reality of the situation is it could take as little as like 24 hours to get together a new portal based on coronavirus, the coronavirus crisis. So if anyone wants to work on that or help move that forward, they can. From there, there's lots and lots of other steps to implement that, and it's just, you know, connecting and talking to a lot of different people and trying to work out all the details and coordinate sessions, etc., etc. So. So, does anyone have anything they want to add in terms of planning and priorities, or do you want me to go through like a possible plan? But I think mainly we just need to schedule some work sessions and get the work going. But I can, if you want, I can lay out like the top 5 or 10 steps that need to be taken.
Yeah, please, if you just please list them so that we can, from there we can know what directions we can start to take from
Okay.
the top 5 priorities.
Okay, so I think that we mentioned it before. So basically, one thing is we need to do the website portal, right? That's obvious. There's also you know, coordination and setup. So this would be, you know, the name, right? So we still need a name because it's not a campaign anymore. The Stop Coronavirus campaign would not be applicable. You know, I don't know if anyone has ideas for names, but for example, you know, coronavirus crisis network and summits or something like that. Doesn't really matter what you call it, but we do need to give it a name. From there, we would need to do, you know, continue with the lists of organizations, and then we would be, we need to update or, you know, draft a new invitation to join the portal and networking / summits. And then we would need to email everyone and invite them, post on Facebook and other social media. I think there was one other thing. I can't remember it though. Draft invitation. Oh, we need to set up the communication systems like email, list, etc., etc.
We can name this with the pandemic, not only COVID-19, because if we started the work, we can get it through long time for next work as well. Because if we name it pandemic, that would be great because we will work on more pandemic next time. Um, so just we can start with the coronavirus, and then we will go for other pandemic if they come.
Yeah, that's similar to what we did before, where it all is part of the pandemic response team, and then we could just have like a subline that's like, global COVID-19 emergency. Yeah, I like it.
Someone, can you mute? Can you mute, please?
Yeah.
Pressy, Albina?
Any suggested names for the corda? Can you stop it, Gino? Albina?
I suggest we take time out to think about it if we can, or if not, I make suggestions. Basically, I would be looking at a unity fight against coronavirus, something that will unify everybody, knowing that okay, we have to be unified in our fight against coronavirus. So, the unity fight against coronavirus. So,
Mamun, can you mute?
Yeah, I unity against the pandemic or the pandemic community or stopping the pandemic.
For a website portal name, I think for me I would go with like global crisis network, because it's not because as Mamoon said before, it's not only for the coronavirus. There might be possible outbreaks in the future we might never know about. So I think it's better if it's like global crisis network. So it would be more broad. It's more broad than
Yeah, we'd also go for global pandemic network. It's also actually it also indicate the work we are doing. Global pandemic network.
So, I guess we can vote now. We have a lot of choices, so we can vote on the name that you can pick on the name. And everyone can vote now for your own choice.
do both, Preeti?
We can
Or
vote now
will-
for any names you choose.
Okay, I would choose fifth, number 2, Global Pandemic Network.
I would
For me,
also I would also vote on the Global Pandemic Network. I think it's better because it's more broad as well. Okay.
Amit Tope, Jay.
I'm fine with that name. And also names are very easy to change, especially on a website. So check.
So we have consensus now. The name of the website is Global Pandemic Network.
How did we get consensus?
We vote on.
We voted on it? I don't remember us voting on it.
Okay, you can vote now.
Yeah. Just overall, like I'm always going to be bringing up when someone suddenly says there's consensus and we all suddenly have agreement when there was no vote, nothing taken. It's like someone might not have agreed, and so you can't say that there's consensus without actually having consensus. Okay, that's a no-no.
You can vote any numbers from 0 to 9.
Yeah, 7. My number is 7.
How about you, Jay?
6.7.
6.7.
I think my biggest issue with this name is that it doesn't convey urgency. So it's like the global pandemic network is kind of like, whereas, unify against coronavirus or unify against pandemics or pandemic crisis network. So part of me feels like it's almost going with something more like global pandemic crisis networks and summits is more direct to the point. Let me write this down. Global pandemic crisis networks and summits. So the idea would be trying to bring some of the urgency in there, but either way, I think it's fine.
the voting is 7.04. So we have any question with the name?
No questions on my part.
No.
Any? Do we have concern?
No concerns.
Any objections?
None.
Object.
Well, again, I guess my concern was just in relationship to the not having urgency. Yes, that was it. We got it. Cool.
It doesn't have urgency. We have consensus now. I guess we're ready to the next. It is the global crisis. The continued list of organizations.
Hello?
Also, I'm thinking that we should definitely do some sort of like secondary byline, like with coronavirus. I'll just say I think unify against coronavirus is a good slogan. It's more like a slogan, you know?
So I guess we can move on the topic. Continuous list of organizations. Okay.
What?
Continue list of organizations.
I don't understand.
The next step for the website for that are the plan and priorities.
I think we just need to move on to the manager. We need to know who's going to be the manager. So, for example, with the water unity group, it's Elizabeth, right? So she is the one pushing it and coordinating, or I guess not really. She's doing her own council. So I guess it's kind of me doing the water one. So we need someone to step up and do this one for the global pandemic network, and then if someone wants to help out the water one, we could do that later. We'll do that later, like tomorrow, or when we get to it.
Okay, for our last update, we are campaign manager for the stop coronavirus campaign. Anyone who wants to step up to be a manager and manage the campaign.
The manager.
Yeah, I would like to.
We are the previous managers.
Yeah, but I'm applying because last time I actually failed, so I'm a bit confused. But if Simon is stood up, I will support him. I would like to do the work as well.
So are you saying that the management?
If no one is stepping up, then I can do it. I will work as a manager.
So we have a manager's job, we have manager's priorities to coordinate all the priorities of the
coordinate and yeah.
So you need to ensure that all the places moving forward.
Okay, Alvina, you can put my name on it.
Anyone want to step up?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna do the managerial.
What of the why also the manager for the campaign?
He doesn't seem to be responding, or maybe he's on mute. But anyways, like it's good for Mamoon to step up and do it. And also managing this is going to be a lot easier than managing the campaign, because the campaign was huge and daunting, and this is much more focused.
Alvina, you were saying why didn't I step up? Or you say?
I was asking why is there also the manager for the campaign?
I'm supporting Mamoon. Let Mamoon step up and take responsibility.
So Mamun, you know what the manager is supposed to do?
Yeah, coordinating with the team, communication, and the work priorities and responsibilities, and also the responsibility of organizing. These are the things I need to look on. So this would be the managerial responsibility. Also, one question: as a manager, can I work on it, or I need just I need just manage the work, or the how far the work has been done and what needs to be done. I will just indicate with the team and let them direct to the goal.
As a manager, you need to coordinate the work. You know who is assigned to do what, so you do a follow-up with them. If they completed the work, you can also help them do the work, but your work is to coordinate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anything on the managerial role under the campaign?
It's no longer a campaign anymore. So, but it's still client work. So we can still count it as client work, but it's not a campaign. It's just part of session support now. It's like a client, and we're doing session support.
Can you try to mute? We can't hear you.
I was just saying that it's no longer a campaign, and it's just it's under session support, and it's a client manager.
Okay, a client manager. Okay, I guess we have a client manager now. Mamun is the sub coronavirus client manager. So I will.
No, it's now the Global Pandemic Network.
Oh, it's the global pandemic network. Oh, I will update the branches. Oh, it should be and replace it from stop coronavirus campaign until
Anything else on the campaign manager?
None on my side.
global pandemic.
I wrap up, guys, if we have nothing else to discuss on top of the ones we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up and check out. Also, whoever's doing the work, who's the work priorities master?
I am.
Okay, no. So whoever's supposed to do it didn't do anything. We have no work priorities, so someone needs to list all the priorities and all the work and responsibilities and tasks. But anyways, let's go ahead and get the checkout started, right?
Okay. So can I look at Tracy, are you going to fix the priority masters group or just
Again? Can you say it again?
I guess I can help you on that. Let's start checkouts. Do you know? Mamun,
Okay.
it's open.
Yeah, I'll take it out first.
Go ahead.
I give the session 5.5, and it was a great session with the new global pandemic network campaign and and it's great to take the responsibility on the pandemic. Last time we were actually failed on this, so hopefully this time this will be a challenge to us. Hopefully do my job with my team, with the help of my team, and I would like to prioritize my responsibilities and the team responsibilities and the steps of the responsibilities, also the responsibility organizing first, and then go for it step by step and check. Thank you. I'm actually excited to do that.
Okay, so I'm taking out. Okay,
Go ahead, Tamato.
Okay, so I'm taking out. I give the session a 6. I give the session a 6. I am glad that I'm checking out. Can you hear me?
No, you can continue then.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. Okay, so I said I give the session a 6.
Yes, I can. I can't hear Timatope. Okay.
I give the session a 6. It was good in the sense that finally we have resolved the issue with the Stop Coronavirus campaign, and we have moved on to make it something much bigger. And the disappointments and what we have learned from the past, I believe it will help us move forward with this new arrangements that we have in place. Check.
I'll go next. Give this session a 5 as well. Feel like we did pretty good as far as session goes. We're a little rocky on some of the facilitation, but you guys are still doing great. And one other important task would be just to update the main doc. I would say just take the current main doc and turn it into, well, it would still be a main doc. It would just be, instead of Stop Coronavirus Global, it would be Global Pandemic Network main doc. And then we would just add this session to it. And then whoever's doing the value tracking, make sure to add it to the spreadsheet for the Earth sessions value tracking. And other than that, I'm just gonna take a small break and be back for the actual Earth session, which is coming up soon. Check.
Okay, I'll give the session a 5. It was very informative. Like I learned the new plan. I've learned the plans. We talk about the plans and the priorities for this team, and I'm also looking forward to working as well with the team, with Mamoon, with Tamatope, and with everyone else. Hopefully I'll be able to help out as much as I can as well. So yes, that's all for me.
Also, can we remind everybody when the next session is?
It'll be on the 15th. The next session will be on the 15th.
Okay, cool. And then that'll be the first session we're going to want to add to our new schedule and calendar for the coronavirus or the pandemic network.
Okay, I will give the session 6. It was good to have an the pandemic campaign and putting the crash as the other as recent one, and looking forward for progress on the network and for any help I can offer the company for the network. Okay.
I'll check outside the second trade. I'll also work with the team, support the team on personal priorities, management, and everything for the campaign. Thank you so much. I look forward for the next session, which is our main session for the next session.
Hey everyone. Did everyone check out?
Yeah, everyone did.
The application is about 3 hours from now.
3 hours? Okay, just do a reminder. And see you guys then. Good work, everyone.
No, okay, we started 6 a.m. so 10.
11 a.m. which is 3 hours from now.
Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, bye. Dina, Percy, Mamoon, Gino.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.